Love bleeds. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Okay.
Big Atreyu
This is
vibes.
I was gonna say this movie was written by him.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I wish.
The 100% Bam Margera has that like tattooed on his body somewhere.
I'm sure he does.
He's got the
Right.
fucking main vampire guy with the partogram underneath.
And it says, "Your love's a razor blade kiss."
Yeah. This is episode 128 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan because I can't think of anything clever right now.
My name's Radu.
I'm gonna be Bob.
My name's Ragu.
Right. I'm Prego.
Yeah, I was trying to think of
not actually Prego, like the sauce Prego.
I was trying to think of like any of the characters in this movie, and I just forgot all of their names. But
I remember Bob because
Or policeman or violin boy.
we are talking about 1994's Bloodlust, Subspecies 3, which is kind of boring, and it seems like we ended up picking based on this movie opening with a bunch of backstory from the previous movie. The previous movie seems like it was probably kind of fun.
yeah, I said this before, but the thing that I liked about this movie is that like this is the third one, but they're like, well, I don't know how it continues, obviously, but it seems like it's like one continuous story and not just like, hey, things happened and then the sequel is just like the same characters but different stuff. You know what I mean? Like it seems like it's actually just a continuous story, and it opens with a recap of everything that happened. So I think they did it right for me. This was like by far out of all of the movies that we had to just watch, this was by far my favorite.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the best of. Well, no, MVP 2 was the best sequel, but this is better than the last two we watched for sure.
It's a very low bar to clear.
Well, and I think it's like pretty different because compared to the other movies we picked, like this one is like a real movie with like not special effects, but like, you know, there's monsters in it. So
like
yeah,
a set to like
There's,
be
like-
shot on that isn't just like one room.
yeah, and it's like, I don't know.
I didn't hate it. Like at the beginning I was like, oh, this like these fucking vampire and witch lady look cool as hell. I was like, this might be like pretty good, and then it just gets real boring for about 50 minutes, and then like the ending is like like interesting
Pretty
enough.
cool. Yeah, so I definitely feel like the first two I'm gonna go back and rewatch because I feel like that actually had, you know, more substance to it story wise.
Yeah, like I'll actually just, especially based on like the director, I'll probably watch, at least see what the first two are about, and like I'm also interested with the ending of this movie, where the fucking like the story is going.
Oh, the ending was like, I was like, huh?
Because I know one of the movies in this is like something, maybe not, maybe I'm thinking of a different movie. I thought there was a movie called like Seed People that was part of this, but Seed People might be something different.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something else.
Oh.
And very weird.
I just know, like, I just remember all of these, and then that movie came up with on just like all like the Full Moon channel on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these movies, I think Ted directed. I don't know what the Vampire Journals is.
I don't think that's related. I
spin-off.
think it's just, yeah.
I'll say it just comes up on like Letterboxd when you look up Subspecies.
Yeah.
It's a Subspecies spin-off.
Okay. I mean, he at least directed 5 of them and then a spin-off, so Yeah, that's the thing I was confused about. Is I'm very like familiar with the cover of the first Subspecies that has those like little dudes on it, and then this movie ends with like his blood turning into like tiny dudes, and I was like, oh, weird. I was like, is this like a like it feels like we ended up watching the like weird drama romance movie in the middle of all of these like kind of weird horror movies.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because I chose this one because the plot sounded the most absurd out of all of them. And it was really like boring and generic.
Yeah, I kind of said before we started recording, like I really like the effects are really good, and like the fact that they shot most of it in this just like huge fucking castle, it like at least looks good. But yeah, like there's like that whole middle section especially is like really pretty boring because essentially it's just a vampire that turned an unwilling woman into a vampire and like wants her to be his wife basically, and she just doesn't want it, and then it's just that for fucking 50 minutes and some weird cop subplot with like the sister.
One of the
so you're gonna say some weird cuck subplot.
Oh god, I
God.
wish.
One of the tag keywords or whatever is tragic love, and I'm like, I don't know that I'd say that's tragic love. Like,
I'm also like, I guess, curious like if these characters, these sisters, are in the entire thing.
So I just looking back at the first one, the main character of this, Rebecca, does not seem like she's in the first one at least, but Michelle is. So I think that maybe it's like stuff happens, and then in the second one, Rebecca comes in trying to get Michelle, and like that's the plot of that one, the second and the third.
I need to know what the fuck happened to Radu's head. Because if being a vampire makes you look like that, no thank you.
Well,
they beat him about the head with a can of Ragu.
Yeah, it looks like he just got pummeled with like cans of soup or something, because he's just got like lumps all over his fucking head.
Yeah, he's not very attractive.
His mom, though, oh boy, she's looking good.
She's hot, yeah.
Her effects, like when I first started it, I was like, I think I can't remember if it was in our group text or just a kid. I was like so excited because the way it opens and you see like her like the witch or whatever. I was like, oh shit, she looks fucking dope. This is gonna be awesome. And then I was like, oh, this is just people hiding in a castle for 50 hours.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at screenshots to see like what he looked like. Well, it looks like he looks pretty much the same, so he's just...
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, in general, because, like, he doesn't look... Like, she's turned into a vampire and she looks fine, so I was just curious if in this universe, if he just, like, being a vampire for that long turns you into, like, a weird-looking monster, or...
That's what I think,
turns you into fucking Mortis.
That's because like that the witch, she is they like kind of mention how young she is a lot, so that's why I feel like that is a thing.
It's unfortunate.
Like the longer you stay a vampire, the grosser you get, which is
being a vampire seems like it'd be kind of cool, but if that's the scenario, then no
like
thank
in
you.
general, yeah, but yeah, exactly.
All right, so this movie was directed by podcast favorite Ted Nicolau. I think that's how you pronounce his name. The director of perfect movie Terror Vision. Let's see, all of the Subspecies movies, or at least 5 of them.
Oh my gosh. There's a new Subspecies in pre-production right now.
Oh yeah. He there's a fucking Aliens Gone Wild. He directed part of that, so that looks fucking amazing.
Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys.
Leaping Leprechauns. Foul Play looks fucking perfect because it looks like Labyrinth with Howard the Duck thrown in.
Oh my gosh, Dragon World. I didn't know that. I loved that movie.
Directed part of Dungeon Masters, which is also fucking extremely weird and good. I stand. Especially TerraVision alone, he's got like... He's already up there with high marks because TerraVision fucking rules. But this was written by Ted and Charles Band. Because Charles has to have fucking his hand into every goddamn thing Full Moon does. Starring Anders Hove, Denise Duff, Kevin Spiritas, Melanie Shatner. Don't know if it's a relation to William. I hope so.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah, let's dive into the very bare minimum plot of this movie.
Yeah, so this is like literally a recap because we're introduced to Rebecca and she's giving us a narration about how she came to Romania to find her sister Michelle. This part was kind of confusing because she was like, but the police found her first. And I thought that meant she was dead, but she was just like unconscious or something. And then Rebecca just finds out that Michelle has been turned into a vampire. But then at the end of the second movie, I guess Rebecca gets caught by Ragu, who is the like vampire master guy in this one, and Michelle defends her against. I just wrote old gross vampires at this point. And
real quick, apparently Ted is an actor in a movie called Cool as Hell 2: The Quest for God's Bong.
I'm so in.
Wow.
The cover art is fucking insane. I'm gonna text it to you. Alright, anyway.
I cannot wait to see this. What the fuck was Cool as Hell 1 about?
I don't know, but I think it's just Cool as Ice as the first one.
I was gonna say Cool as Heaven.
That would be sick.
It's just the sequel to the Vanilla Ice movie.
Wow.
Oh no. Phil Anselmo's in it.
Oh no, that checks
Ruined.
out. Maybe,
and Ricky Rackman.
Maybe
he's not problematic. I just hate him.
No, Ricky Rackman's pretty fucking. If you rewatch any of those, the things he hosted for the reality shows on VH1, he's like, he's not saying anything that I feel like was out of character at the time, but it's extremely fucking shitty towards women.
I like the bat pizzas. There's like slices of pizza that look like bats, and then some guy has a pizza cutter for a hand. So that's pretty cool.
Frank Mullen from Suffocation's in it too. I'm so torn.
Maybe Phil Anselmo's in it solely so we can watch him get murdered.
What if Frank Mullen does his little chop and chops Phil Anselmo in half?
You know it's probably something stupid that Phil Anselmo's probably playing God in it, and it's going to be a bummer.
Yikes.
In the movie, he plays Phil with 2 L's.
Nope.
Yeah, that's probably because it's the only name he could recognize. What a that fucking like perfect cover art and a name, and then you're gonna put Phil Anselmo in there.
Awful.
Well.
All right, go ahead, Katie.
Oh
wait. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Well. What happened?
I don't know. This is the recap.
So essentially,
beginning.
Michelle like saves Rebecca and then gets kidnapped by the witch, who I was calling the mummy in the beginning because I couldn't tell what was going on with her, and Ragu. Okay, so then the credits. So, and then like at the end of the last one, like they stab Ragu in the eye or something, and so Rebecca and Michelle are gonna like leave this mausoleum that they're in, but it's daytime, and so Michelle's like, hey, I can't go outside in the daytime because I'm a vampire, and she's like, okay, I'll wait for you. So meanwhile, Rebecca just like changes her clothes in the middle of the cemetery, but then also drives away or something. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. I wrote, gross mummy is sad that vampire is dead. So mummy is actually, I guess they call her the witch. I don't really know how to explain what she looks like, except like she's just really gross.
She
And
looks
Goopy.
she looks like the skeletons that come out of the pool in Poltergeist.
yeah, that's
Like
and
just
then
like she's like covered in fucking mud. It looks like because she's just like all brown and like goopy.
goopy. But then she also has like one eye cavity, and then the other one is just like a milky white thing, and her teeth are gross, and she talks like that.
Like it like I would
I like
say
it's good. I
if
like it.
you're not going to watch this movie, just watch the first like 5 minutes to see like the effects on her, and then you're pretty good. You're pretty much good because her effects are pretty great.
So then she basically curses Michelle. She's like jealous of Michelle being like a young, pretty vampire or whatever. And I'm pretty sure Radu calls her my young pretty or something stupid like that or something. But then she cuts Michelle's arm open with some kind of knife thing and then drips the blood onto the vampire guy who is Radu and also stabs his cheek. I was like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here. Meanwhile, Rebecca goes into a bar and there's just like fur everywhere in the barn. There's like fur tabletops made of fur. And I guess, I don't know, maybe that's a thing in Romania. Did I say they were in Romania, right? Yeah.
I wonder, is that? Do you know if that's where they actually shot at? I mean, it has to have been somewhere. Like,
there's no way, right?
I don't know. That castle's pretty like all of the info I have for this movie is just from Letterboxd. I didn't actually look it up on like IMDb.
Yeah,
so.
filming location.
Oh yeah,
is actually where
that's
they
shocking.
say
I was
Bucharest.
I was figuring it was either some like actually where they said it was at, or it was going to be like something like Ireland or some shit, you know, somewhere that just have like some big ass old castle.
I mean, Oklahoma has a castle, so I don't believe anything anymore.
I guess that's true.
It's
but
true.
You got figured like what year was this? Did we say
94?
When did Castle Freak come out? Because that was a full moon movie too. Wasn't that like roughly the same-ish time? So
they just shot all of their castle films in that one trip to
Romania. If you think about it, because I think Pit and the Pendulum is also I think it was released by Full Moon, and that's like giant ass castle. Like I wonder if they just had like a year they were in Europe and just like filming.
Rented a castle.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, the castle's big enough that it could be because like it really. We only see like the inside of one room, essentially, one or two rooms. So she goes to the bar and asks the bartender to use the phone to call the embassy. So then we switch to a bunch of cops are back at the mausoleum with her, and they're like down there looking around, but like everything looks normal. And they find the body of this guy who he was from like a folk art museum or something, or he was like a professor of some sort who basically helped her in the second movie but got killed, and they find his body. And but like her sister Michelle and like the other vampires, they just like can't find them, I guess. So then we're introduced to, I don't know, her friend who is a guy named Mel, and then they pronounce it Marine. I think it's probably Marin or something like that, who is the police chief or one of the police officers or detectives or whatever on the case. And she's like trying to tell them that vampires are happening, but they don't believe her, of course. So Rebecca goes down there herself, and like this confused me because they're like, everything is normal. All that's down there is skeletons. There's just like skeletons laying about. But then like
who doesn't have that though?
I mean, I guess. So then, like, meanwhile, the witch has brought Radu back to life, like, pretty easily. And the witch is like, we must fly! And so Radu does a bunch of chants, and Radu, the witch, and Michelle, like, disappear in a puff of smoke that comes, like, rushing out. And there's, like, police officers and Rebecca, like, running away from the smoke. So I was like, how did they not find them? They like, you could hear when Rebecca was like looking around the tunnels, you could like hear them talking and shit. So I don't know how they were just like, yeah, no one's here. I don't know. Kind of this misstep there.
It's good police work.
Yeah. And she comes out of the mausoleum, and it's just nighttime now, which, like, my only well, not my only problem, but one of the things that was weird about this movie to me is that, like, day and night happened so fast. Because it was, like, daytime, right? She goes down to the mausoleum for, like, a second and comes back up, and it's, like, complete night. It's, like, midnight. So,
the time during this movie, I don't understand. Like, seems like it takes place over, like, months.
Yeah, who knows? So they see the puff of smoke, and Mel is immediately like, okay, maybe something weird is happening. And the police chief, who I guess Mel and the police chief are friends because he kind of talks to him like they're like very friendly or whatever. The police chief's just like, get the bomb squad out here. Okay. So
you know how vampires are prone to using bombs.
Yeah. So the witch, Radu, and Michelle now appear in a sanctuary in a castle. There's like gold and jewels and like just everywhere. And like I don't know why they just weren't there to begin with, because it seemed a lot nicer than the mausoleum. But meanwhile, Rebecca and Mel go to a hotel together. Radu like traps Michelle in a okay, and this movie was terrible because, like I said, I normally use like first letter to write people's names, but everyone's name started with an R or an M, so it was like hell. Okay,
R1,
so
R2,
yeah,
M3.
So Radu traps Michelle in some kind of cage, and she's like, their relationship made no sense to me either, because she's like, I hate you, I don't want to be a vampire, but then she's also like, you told me you would show me how to do powers, and I was like, which is it? Like, I don't. So he traps her and is like, maybe I'll let you go and you can be free, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of like back and forth between them of like whether she's going to be set free or not. Like that is just kind of, I don't know. It feels like this movie could have been like the 20 minutes in the middle of like, you know, another one of the movies, but just stretched out for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was. I don't think. I mean, it was an hour and 20 minutes. It could have been an hour. I think would have been better.
Especially after watching like the last two movies that were like barely over an hour. All of the Evil Bong movies are either under an hour or barely over an hour. This hour 20 minutes, I was like, God damn it, this is so long.
Yeah. So Radu is basically just like, I don't know, maybe I'll release you, who knows. And then he goes to Rebecca's room where she's sleeping, and he's like stalking on her, but then he sees that Mel's there and he's like, oh no, and he leaves. They had like this effect where they would show him traveling as a vampire as just like shadows places, which I thought was kind of cool.
I just assumed he was the Flash because he just like zooms around.
What's the opposite of the Flash, though? Since he's all shadowy.
There's a character in DC Comics that is the opposite, called the Turtle, that like has.
I don't like that.
Well, he's in one of the first season episodes. He has that like energy shield thing around him that everything around him is forced to like a basically standstill of being that slow. So, like, his power is basically just, like, you know, like, X-Men 3, there's that kid that they use as, like, the cure or whatever, that when you, like, Beast, like, walks up to him, his hand turns into normal and stuff. It's like that. That's the kind of, like, the same thing, except you just are slowed down to, like, an impossible slow.
Okay, so Radu, I guess, decides that he can't take her because Mel's there. So he just, like, snatches some random girl off the street, brings her back to the lair, and then, like, basically feeds off of her in front of Michelle. And Michelle's like, damn, I don't want to be a vampire, but I'm thirsty, though. And so the witch, so she does her, like, hiss thing with her, like, fangs out. And so the witch, like, lets her out of the cage. and she feeds from the girl, but she's sad about it because,
So this is the thing that I kind of like. I didn't like was how like back and forth they made her seem.
Well,
like I kind of wish the end of this movie would have been like, well, I don't know. I'm extremely curious based on what like the end of this movie actually is, but I also kind of wanted her to just be like, "Fuck it, I'm a vampire," and just like go along.
Well, I think I think having watched just too many vampire content, I think the issue here is that like
We get it. You like Last Vampire on Earth.
Aurelius. I have it tattooed. I have a tramp stamp. Is that she's newly a vampire, so like at the very end of the second one is when she turns into a vampire, so she doesn't even know like how to be a vampire, and he says something like, oh, the longer you're a vampire, like your human feelings will go away. So I think they're trying to make it seem like she doesn't want to be a vampire because it's like evil, or she doesn't want to kill people or whatever, but like her instincts are switching to that. So it's like she's struggling with it, but I just don't feel like they did it. They did it in kind of like she's an angsty teenager kind of way, which doesn't translate when they keep, it's just like too much of it.
I don't know. I just liked her more as a character, like when she was more like embracing being a vampire kind of stuff. Like she seemed cooler.
Well, and I think that she does. Well, we'll get to it. So, Rebecca and Mel go back to the school wherever they met the guy that got killed in the second one to tell like his assistant or something about the fact that he died, and she's all sad, and Mel's like, hey, I left some papers in his office, can I get them? And she's like, yeah, but don't touch anything. And he's like, no, I won't. And he goes in there and steals a book and a bunch of medieval weapons.
God, I don't even remember that being a thing.
So then the police show up at some castle. I guess this is like an established place in the movie, but like we don't know that because they just like show up at the castle, right? And they're like digging up some like disturbed earth or whatever. And then Rebecca and Mel show up and they have like stakes and like what is, it's not an axe, but it's like they're literally just like medieval weapons, and she's like, what should we do? And he's like, just act natural. So they walk up there like holding these weapons, and the police detective is just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, so we can't get into the castle because no one will let us in, so we can't get in without permission. And I told my boss that you said there were vampires and stuff, and he yelled at me, so I don't want to hear it. And he's like, I think what's happening is that your sister is caught up in a black market antiques that are stolen from graves. And I was like, oh.
Huh.
What led you to think that?
Who of us hasn't gotten caught up in that racket, though, you know?
I mean...
Every week. Just keeps happening.
You try to you can't cold turkey it, you know?
Just open another box at work and it's just full of fucking antiques out of a grave.
Yeah,
I mean...
I have to take it.
God damn, I gotta fucking smuggle these again.
So
better go take them to Hobby Lobby.
On the side of the road.
Take them to Hobby Lobby. Oh my. So Rebecca. Rachel. I don't know. Rebecca is like pissed off about this and storms off. Like, I can't imagine being like, hello, my sister's a vampire, and then the cops are like, I think she's a smuggler.
They're just like confused. Vampirism and addiction to smuggling.
I mean, like, I feel like that seems like they kind of go hand in hand, you know?
Yeah.
So her and Mel are going to go in this back way to sneak into the castle, but the police officer just like follows them and is like, hey, I don't want to get in trouble, but then is just like, okay, let's go in. So they go in, they're like walking down this pathway, but they come to like a big blockage, and so they're like, oh, they must have known that we were going to come here, they blocked it, let's leave. So the police chief, like the detective, tells them like, hey, why don't you call my boss and tell them about the vampires? See ya. And I was like, what? Like, you don't believe the way that people change their mind about if they're believing what she's saying or not just makes no sense. Because I don't know. So he's just like, yeah, call my boss and tell him about the vampire. See ya. So the police all leave. And the one thing I did like about the detective is that, like, anytime you see him, he's like always eating a sandwich.
A mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca and Mel stay to. So essentially, she like gets out of the car and she was like, "I just want to watch the place and make sure that they're there." And he's like, "Okay, but it's gonna be dark soon." And she was like, I just want to watch for a little bit." When they get out of the car, it's daylight, and when they walk up to the castle, it's nighttime again. So again, I have no idea what the time frame is here.
It's a long
And
walk.
I guess I don't. So it's night again. They're like looking out at the window, and we see the witch in the window. So they're like, okay, cool, they're here.
I love how much this vampire and this witch just like to pensively just look out the window.
Yeah. I mean, what else?
What
can
else
you
are you
do?
supposed to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Go out
when
If
you're
I'm a
waiting for
vampire, that's all
your
I'm doing.
you want to eat people.
Yeah.
Well, she's a witch. She doesn't eat people, so she's got a lot of time to fill between smuggling. You know.
She smokes people. That's what witches do.
Okay, so they're like, okay, cool, they are here. Let's leave. So then we get like this like, I don't know. Michelle is like, hey, Radu, if you leave my sister alone, like I'll do anything. Just like please stop trying to kill her or whatever. And the witch is like tells Radu that he needs to destroy Michelle. And Radu's like, I don't think so. Like all she has to do is just like prove herself and it'll be fine. So we are now at the detective. He's just like partying it up, having some drinks, and then he sits in his car to spy on Rebecca. Mel is like reading. Okay, so I don't know if they knew this information earlier, but we find out that the castle that they're at used to be owned by a family of sorcerers, and this guy, he's from one of the other movies, and I think his name is like Vladislav or something. He basically
So it's what we do in the shadows crossover.
Yes. He seduced the daughter of one of the sorcerers, and they had a baby together, and the baby is Radu. And then Radu, I guess, killed everybody else. I don't know why or what, but that's the story. So essentially you find out, spoilers, that the witch is Radu's mom.
Whoa.
Yeah. Rebecca and Mel immediately after reading the story start making out, and they're gonna do it, but then she keeps like seeing all of these like flashbacks of like murder and stuff, I guess, and she's like, I can't. And he's like, all right, calm down, it's fine. He's respect, you know. Radu and Michelle just like do vampire shit. And then so she is basically like, Michelle's like, show me how to do vampire shit. And he's like, okay, here's how to disappear and stuff. And here's how to lure a violinist boy from a band.
Very specific set of skills.
Yeah. Yes. So then then some other girl just like randomly happens upon them doing their vampire stuff, and Radu like grabs her and he screams. And the detective hears it, so he goes to investigate, and Rebecca sees that he has been like spying on him or whatever. So then, I don't know, there's like this thing between Michelle and Radu where they're back at the house, or their castle. The house.
Castle
and she's
is
like
a house.
asking, I mean, yeah. She's like asking him, like, what kills vampires? And he's like, many things. And then she's like, please kill me. And he's like, I love you. And she's like, I hate you. And she feeds off of him, though. And then they go to sleep. So it's like really confusing. Because one minute she's like, show me how to do shit. And then she's like, please kill me. I hate you.
That was the thing. Yeah, that's what, like,
it's like just very, it's like very teenagey.
I really just wanted her to just be like, fuck it. This is my situation. I guess this is what it's gonna be, and just like accept it and kind of like go. Like, I feel like it would have made a more interesting dynamic with her and the sister if like by the time she got there she had just been like, no, this is like my life now.
Yeah.
live at a castle and have to
I mean, to be fair,
seduce
though, like,
violin players.
like that's fine, but like if I had to be a vampire and like spend my eternity with Ragu, I don't know, he's pretty gross.
Yeah, but you could get rid of him.
Yeah, that's what she should have done. Well, okay. So meanwhile, Mel calls a CIA guy named Bob, and he's like, meet us at the castle. And so Rebecca is like talking to the detective about like the two. So basically, like, there's all this commotion, and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, the villagers are telling me that there's like two people missing. That's weird. And there's this old lady who is just like screaming at Rebecca about the fact that like they went to the castle and awoken like the vampires, and now the vampires are like killing people in the town. And she's literally just like yelling at Rebecca as Rebecca like gets in the car and tries to drive away. And I was like, Jesus Christ. She's like yelling at her in, I don't know. Like Rebecca can't understand what they're saying because they're, locals. But I just was like, damn, calm down. All right. So back at the castle. So they're back at the castle. The detective just like shows up again and is just like, hey, I'm just going to hang out. I'm not a detective anymore. I'm just myself. And they're like, okay. So then Bob shows up and is like, hey, Bob is like also, they say he's CIA, but he just is like a army guy. Like, he's like, sir, ma'am. And then he like was like, hey, I brought all this stuff. What are we doing? Vampire hunting? And Mel's like, yes. So also Mel and Bob are rock climbing buddies. So they're just gonna like scale the wall to get into the castle. And Rebecca's like, I'm gonna come with you. And he's like, well, do you know how to rock climb? And she's like, no. And he's like, all right, we'll be careful. So Bob and Mel just climb up the castle as easy as you please. And they go inside. They hear someone screaming, and the witch is just in there, like, cutting some girl. Oh, the girl that they stole the night before.
Yeah, she's just like, not torture, I guess, is the right word, but also not the right word. She's just, like, fucking with her.
Yeah, essentially.
Just, like, being cruel for, like, no reason.
Yeah.
It's like when you see, I guess it's probably something in vampire movies where, like, just don't play with your, like, food or whatever, and it's just, like, a person.
Yeah, essentially. So Bob is like, oh, shit, and starts shooting at, because, like, listen, if I walked in a room and something that looked like the witch was in there, I probably would just faint, because she is fugly, as they say.
Hard to disagree.
Bob starts shooting at her, and she uses magic to throw a knife at him, and it sticks into his head. And then she like laughs a bunch, and Rebecca can hear her laughing over the walkie, and she's like, oh man, that's not great. I also like how when they get into the castle, Bob's like, okay, we're on a stealth mission, so don't talk to us unless we talk to you. And Michelle, wait, what's her name? Rebecca is like constantly like, hey guys, what's going on? Did you find her yet? I was like, shut the fuck up, Rebecca. And then like Mel, oh no, the detective, meanwhile, says like he runs to his car to call for help, but there's no like radio signal out there, so they would have to like leave the castle in order to call for backup. So she's like, no, I want to stay and like I just want to stay and wait a little bit to see if they come out. And I was like, you fucking idiot. And it's nighttime again, and I was like, why couldn't the detective just like drive off to call for help and then come back? It makes no sense. Rebecca is essentially like, I don't know, I wrote Rebecca is like, don't hurt my sister.
Well, that's like after, so like
over the walkie, I guess.
Oh no, I only remember that when she like actually goes in later, but like it's not far from where we're at. I think like no, yeah, I guess that is.
Oh,
yeah, she tells the CIA guy, yeah.
yeah, her and the detective are gonna go in, and she's like, whatever you do, like, don't hurt my sister. And he's like, okay, fine. So then we get a scene of like Michelle waking up, and Radu is like creeping on her. He's just like watching her, and he's like, be nice to me and I'll give you stuff, essentially. And then he gives her a necklace, and then he also feeds
I
on
gotta
her,
say,
and I was like,
Radu is
what?
pretty good at romance.
I mean,
A plus.
yeah. So he like gives her oh, this is when he says something like, your blood is tasting more bitter, you're almost not a human anymore, or some shit. And I was like,
There's
okay,
that romance again.
yeah, right. Gross. uh Mel like wakes up in a cage with the girl from, the village, and the witch is like pissed. Oh, so basically like Michelle and Radu come out from their tomb or whatever, and the witch is pissed because Radu has given Michelle a necklace, and they argue. Basically, this is when you find out that the witch is Radu's mom. They argue about like the the booty in the castle. He's basically just like, these are my birthright, and she's like, no, these are my treasures, stuff. Then she's like, you need to kill Michelle, and they argue or whatever, and Radu's just like, no, I love her. And then the witch immediately just like tries to stab Michelle, and Radu rips her arm off and then beheads her and throws her head into a fire. I was like, that escalated very quickly.
This was the part
and
that
her head curses him.
Yeah.
For all eternity.
This was the part
she does.
That like I got like invested again after that first like 10 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, oh, this is okay. It's like, shit's pick it up again. This is kind of where like I actually, started to like enjoy watching it a little more.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe the first two would be better, because it would be more action and not just like, how do I save my sister? But the thing I love about this is that like she is very obviously, they are both very ancient just by the way that they look, and she's like an all-powerful witch and he's like a vampire master, and they're like literally arguing because of like a girl he brought home and gave his mom's necklace to, and then they like try and kill each other over, and I'm just like, geez.
All been there.
So, I mean,
high school was wild.
It was a time. Michelle asks to drink from the Bloodstone, which we don't know what the Bloodstone is. Like the second movie, I think the second movie is called Bloodstone, right? But like we don't actually know what it is. And
so
Radu.
My theory with the Bloodstone is that it like protected them somehow. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I probably extremely wrong, but it almost seemed like maybe it, like, I don't know, because like
it's got to be some sort of like power source for them.
Yeah.
I just don't know, because he's like holding it in the chamber, like the witch was holding it earlier and he's holding it like later, but I don't know. So she's like, can I drink from the Bloodstone? And Radu's like, you're not ready. And then he also says he at this point has killed his entire bloodline for her. And I was like, if that isn't romance, I just don't know. Mel is basically just like, hey, Michelle, I'm Rebecca's boyfriend and I want to help you. And she's like, oh. And Radu is basically like, nah, forget that scrub, just drink from him. And she's about to, and then she hears Rebecca over the walkie. So Michelle is in this space where she is like totally embracing that she's about to be a she's like, cool, let me drink from the Bloodstone, I'm gonna eat this guy, right? But then she hears Michelle's voice and she's like, oh wait, I'm human. So like, I don't know, I feel like she almost went there, but Rebecca ruined it, right? And Michelle is like, okay, let me go talk to my sister, and then I promise like I'll follow your rules or whatever, Dad. Radu is like, okay, but when you come back, I want you to be absolutely devoted to me, which gross. So then Michelle goes to talk to Rebecca and is basically just like, hey, I have to stay here. And meanwhile, Radu is like creeping around outside and he kills the detective, and the detective's dead. So Radu shows up like behind Rebecca and is like, and Rebecca's like, hey, I have this gun with silver bullets in it, and if you don't let everyone go, I'm gonna shoot you with it. And he's like, okay. So they all go back inside, and Radu like lifts the cage and frees Mel and the other girl, and then is like, Michelle, kill them. And then Michelle like asks Rebecca to kill her instead, and she's like, I hate it here, I want to die, and takes her gun from her. And then there's like this moment where like she's gonna shoot herself in the head, but then she turns and shoots Radu a bunch, and then he's like, ah, and they all run out of the room, but the sun is coming up, so Michelle's like, ow, I'm dying. So they put her in a body bag that they brought, which was really good thinking.
Yeah.
And
I like that. Like, I like kind of, I'm sure it's maybe been done, maybe before, maybe after this movie came out. Like, stuff like that. Like, I really liked the idea in, like, John Carpenter's Vampires of them burying themselves in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I like when they... Like,
it just sounds nice in general.
Yeah, it seems like it would be cool. Like, actually cooling. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I like the... Like,
and you're, like, more protected than if you're just, like, hanging up in a fucking mine shaft or something.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for Alex Winter. Like, it's just like, I like when the people kind of do like clever things that aren't just like, oh, they sleep in a casket.
Right. Or especially something like this, which, like, I don't know that I've seen in a movie, but is also so like practical when you think about it. So yeah, they zip her up, and Radu has like followed them out onto this like balcony, but is like, fucked up because she's been shot with silver bullets that were made from an antique cross.
Oh, I missed that. When this started happening, I was like, why are silver bullets harming him?
So basically Bob brought them and was like, haha, Mel, you owe this lady $500. And he's like, I don't like that. Yes, for these bullets that were made by melting down a cross. So, I guess that's why they hurt him, which I don't know. It's fine, sure. So they put Michelle in the body bag. Radu is like, also somebody, I guess, had grabbed the bloodstone. Maybe Michelle did. I missed that, but they have it, and he's like, give me the bloodstone.
They grab it like when running out after like shooting him and stuff.
Right. And so Rebecca's like, here, you can have it, and throws it off the roof. Radu gets sunned, the sun comes up and he catches on fire, and he's like, ah, and then he falls off of the roof and is impaled on a tree, and which all was very delightful. And then the whole group is like, phew, and they get back to the car, they put Michelle in the trunk, which again, great idea, and they drive away. And then Radu's body, as he is impaled on this tree, his pieces of body chunks fall to the ground and form into little tiny demon guys, and the bloodstone starts like shining essentially, and that's the end.
I'm here for Little Blood Guys as a movie. Subspecies 4 Little Blood Guys. LIL.
Blood buddies.
They're kind of cute, and I mean, I didn't see the poster for the first one, so I didn't realize that like little demon guys were already a thing in the series, but I was very taken aback by it. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like I was like, oh shit, that kind of rules. And then I was like, oh wait, I was like, I feel like these things were on the first movie, which seems like if you've seen them in order, more of a letdown. You're just like, oh well, yeah, but
so the guys on the cover look green, and then these like other things were red, but I'm like, can the little demons like form back to being a vampire? I don't know. I just don't know. I guess I'll have to find out.
So apparently the Bloodstone is part, like the thing on Letterboxd, like about the first movie is the evil vampire villain Radu returns to his hometown of Prijnar after spending years in exile. He steals the precious Bloodstone, which is said to be bleeding from All Saints from his father and kills him. Meanwhile, 2 American schoolgirls team up with a local girl for a work on... Well, this is a badly put together sentence. Team up with a local girl for a work on Romanian culture. Ragu becomes attracted to them, but runs into trouble when his brother Steven helps the girls. So I'm guessing...
I'm sorry, Radu's brother Steven?
Well, yeah, I guess Stephan, Stefan, I guess maybe too, but
Stefan? No.
Like, what the fuck? What? How do you name one kid Radu and the other Steven?
Steven? I love that.
Which is also weird because his actual credit is Stefan with an F instead of a PH. There's a Michelle in this movie that is not the same person. That she's her only acting credits are this movie and a movie called Dead Space. So apparently she got recast. No, it's some like weird 80s Russian movie it looks like. Oh.
So either she was recast or maybe it's I assume it's supposed to be the same character.
The guy that plays Radu is in Critters 4.
Oh.
And Nymphomaniac somehow.
That makes less sense.
Lars von Trier, big subspecies.
Yeah. A blood species.
It looks like Michelle is in at least the first. No, she's in all of them, but it just looks like it's the actress from the first one. There's a different actress in the first one that gets replaced in 2, and then it's the same actress for the rest of them.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. She was in Night of the Living Dead Reanimation. The prequel to the sequel that we watched before.
Oh.
Anyway, where are notes at? So, all right. Do you have any news, Katie? I didn't know if you had
I didn't even look. No.
The only news I saw today is that Bruce Willis was kicked out of a store for refusing to wear a mask.
That motherfucker.
Great.
God damn him.
And now Twitter is just blowing up with I guess he's trying to die hard jokes. So.
I mean, it just writes itself, you know.
I mean, Bruce Willis is a sack of shit. So.
I don't know anything about him, but
Kevin Smith tweeting "What a cop out" was pretty funny.
Oh shit, that's pretty funny. That if I don't know, being a fan of Kevin Smith, it's hard to ever take Bruce Willis seriously after you hear about what Smith had to deal with on Cop Out.
Yeah, and sounded like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, he has one of his Q&A movies that literally the entire movie is one question he answers that was led into that story, and he talks about it for an hour and a half, and it just sounds so shitty. Which makes sense. It seems like Bruce Willis would be kind of unbearable to work with.
Yeah, he doesn't have a face of someone that looks like I would like him in person.
Alright, so that's the only news, because that's the only thing worth talking about. Wear a mask. Don't be Alan Rickman.
Don't be like Bruce Willis, alright?
Alan Rickman would absolutely be wearing a mask.
Yes.
I think so.
Alright, did you guys have anything you watched at all, saved or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've just besides having to watch 12 movies, I've just been watching Batman Beyond because they added it to HBO Max. So I've been watching a couple episodes every night, and it is still so freaking good. And I really vividly remember the first season, the first season and a half, but I don't really remember season 3 at all. So it's been fun to rediscover some things that I didn't remember happening, and it's just so good. The soundtrack slaps. It's the art style is so cool. It's so good.
Is the movie on there, The Return of the Joker?
I'm not sure, but I know that I've seen it on other things, so
the movie's
it probably is.
so good.
Yeah,
I love that
love it.
series. Like, obviously, the animated series was pretty much perfect, and then that movie Beyond
yeah.
Batman Beyond was so good, and I'm extremely mad every time DC's like announces Batman movies that aren't a Batman Beyond movie.
I know.
You could literally probably still get like Will Friedle to like play fucking Terry McGinnis in real life.
I think so, or even if they did, like, not necessarily that I feel like they need another animated series, but he's been like very public about like, yeah, if they ever do anything, I absolutely am down to like reprise it and stuff. He's like really into it. But
Yeah.
I know that's how I feel every single time that they reboot it, and I'm like, come on, I just want more. It's so good.
They did like a cool thing in the comics like a while ago during, I think it was like whatever they switched to like the New 52 before they fucking gave up on that, where there was like some storyline that I didn't continue reading. I just remember like Free Comic Book Day, like they had like
Yeah.
an issue 0 of like this big crossover storyline that started where like Batman was like killed off in it, and it became like Terry McGinnis is like it started following him in the Batman comics or some shit. I don't know. It was very confusing, but I remember being like really intrigued by it, and then was just like, I'm not gonna spend $5 a fucking week
Yeah,
to follow this.
I actually do still have the Free Comic Book Day like issue of it, but I don't think I ever started reading it because at that point I had stopped. Like, the only thing, and actually I haven't even bought anything in a really long time, but like the only thing I was still collecting was like whenever they would put out the like all the issues together kind of thing. I was getting like the Spider-Gwen comics
Right.
like back in the day, but then they've restarted it like 3 times, so I stopped even getting that. But I don't know. I might re-look into it just for like more content.
Yeah. Did you have anything, Kit?
No.
Yeah, I figured just fucking this, just watching a cat.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say.
last night I only got to watch the Hearst and Christine
Yeah.
after we finished recording. So
I mean, yeah, I figured as much. I just wanted to ask. Oh, good.
I've had Rock of Love on in the background,
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
I'm gonna say Rock of Love. It's that time of the year
Yeah.
again.
We started rewatching Seinfeld. Kind of, we just jumped to like season 3
Hell yeah.
because Caitlin and I think when this episode drops, our episode on Airheads should be out, something like that. I'm not sure, maybe a week ago. But we recorded an episode on Airheads, and we were just talking about how like it's a bummer how like Michael Richards turned out to be like a just sack of shit because he was just fucking like the best physical comedian.
Right.
But yeah, like we'd watched Airheads, and then I think the only other thing I have other than us watching Seinfeld is like I started digging into the Friday the 13th box set, so I watched the first Friday the 13th, which still probably my least favorite of this series.
I haven't seen that many of them, to be honest. Like,
I feel like they really get better the dumber they get.
Yeah.
right.
I'll agree.
Like, I think the first one's like, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it's it's very good, and it was like for like that, like, sort of kicking off that kind of like version of slasher movies, because like Halloween obviously was before, and like Black Christmas, where they're kind of smarter, and this was just like a just very dumb, like kicking off that dumb 80s slasher craze or whatever, and it's good, it works for that, but it's, I think, probably the one I honestly still watch the least, because gotta get our big baby boy Jason in there just kicking boom boxes in the streets of New York and eating hearts,
Yeah.
and Jason Goes to Hell. I don't. Yeah, that's. Yeah, we said like in the, I think the last episode or the last like 2 we recorded, we're recording 3 weeks of episodes or some shit in like 2 days while I'm fucking quarantining from work. So
Yeah, who knows what'll be going on when this comes out.
We record like another episode 3 weeks. It'll be like it'll be like 6 hours long of like news probably. Our government was burned down. We're all living in a hellscape.
I mean, that's already true.
Yeah, pretty much. Kit, you've been did you ever log back into your WWE network?
Yeah, I was gonna say what's going on
no,
in wrestling?
I still haven't been unlazy enough to figure out what the fuck my password is. I want to though, because they put up a best of Luke Harper thing.
Oh yeah.
So I was gonna try and figure it out tonight. We'll see.
Here's every match where we had like buried the Wyatt family.
Right.
All right. I was gonna ask about if you had a pay-per-view for a shout out because I forgot last time. Then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he got like kicked out. I couldn't remember or was too lazy to look up his thing.
Middle of watching something too. What the fuck? Figure out your shit, WWE.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Just wait. I'm sure Vince McMahon's gonna run for president in 2024 and.
Ugh.
Oh god, I made a joke about that. I got a DM and then I got real sad about it. I was like, God, that seems pretty likely. All right. I don't know. Do you guys have shout outs at all?
Well, this will not matter, I guess, later. But one of my favorite bands, Citizen, just announced a new album and they dropped a new single today. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's kind of weird because like normally whenever they release an album, like the sounds are usually completely different, and I think that at least the single that they released sounds like still kind of pretty similar to their last album, which is like fine because I love all of it. But I'm so excited because my I think that last album came out in like 2017 or something like that. It was like a couple years ago, but my number one song last year that I listened to was from that album, so I was like, it's really time for them to put out new music. So I think the new album comes out in March, at like the end of March, and it's up for pre-order and stuff, but I'm so excited.
I feel like this year there's going to be so much new music or like new albums because every band that's pretty much all they had time to do last year was just like write music and probably like hopefully record. So I think there'll be like a lot of shit this year.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you have anything, Kit? Besides Rock of Love.
No, I've been trying to think of something and
yeah, that's fine.
I've got nothing. My brain's fried.
Yeah. Like I said, like we pretty much are running on fumes on any like talking about anything that's not the movies in the real world because like I said, like 3 regular episodes in 2 days. So
Kit's shout out is Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, drink Dr. Pepper.
Permanent shout out.
Pretty sick.
Mine is there's this band called Shin Guard that I liked a lot. They were just kind of this like weird progressive like screamo band that have changed their name and like essentially their entire like style. They are now called Hazing Over, and like they kind of do every album. They kind of like progress into like newer territories, and now they're just like new band name, and they are now like death metal kind of inspired hardcore. It's really good. Like the first song off their new EP. I don't know. They have the tag deathcore, but for me that like I kind of barely applies because I just think of like all like Sumerian Records shit when I hear the term deathcore. And it's like not
Born
like
of Osiris.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's very much like if like I guess like Gatecreeper was like way into hardcore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of like it a lot. I'm kind of excited to hear what the rest of their EP sounds like because their last full length when they were called Shin Guard was like this really weird screamo record that had like kind of weird like prog influences, but also was like kind of they got like way into black metal. So it was like really weird and good, and now I'm just kind of like intrigued at where they're going with this like death metal influenced stuff. So yeah, check out Hazing Over and the new Citizen because Citizen is also good. All right, next week I don't know what we're watching because we have not gotten that far yet. So you'll have a surprise. Probably something
We'll
stupid.
be surprised.
We're gonna in 3 weeks just
No way.
come up with some other stupid idea worse than watching sequels to movies we never saw.
I think, I don't know. I think we've crescendoed for that.
I don't know.
I still really want to do like a month at some point, maybe after the Stephen King month in March, where we like just watch like remakes of movies, like just the shitty remakes of like good movies. But
Yeah. I still also want to do like even though I know that these are movies that are made to be stupid, I still want to do like Killer Sofa and Killer Donut and whatever.
Yeah, like
Deathbed.
Is that
yeah, there's a couple
thing?
Deathbed movies.
Oh yeah, Deathbed Whips.
Ooh.
There's like
because I feel like
I think there's a new
if you're a
version
Killer
of Deathbed.
Sofa, just like don't sit in it, right? And I'm really intrigued to because I did see Rubber and I actually like I don't even know when that came out, but I did actually find that very funny. So
I mean, fuck it. Let's just make February. We'll just do inanimate objects becoming alive.
okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there was like a Deathbed in 2009, and then there's one like the one from
The
like
fuck?
77, because the one from 77 is
Yeah.
like Deathbed, the bed that eats, which is a perfect title.
Ah,
The 77 one is rad. It looks like
Wow,
people are
it
being
looks
dunked
cool.
into a deep fryer whenever they're being eaten.
my God, this guy just has like skeleton hands.
Yeah, we'll just fucking inanimate objects in fucking February.
Finally, we can do Killer Pinata.
Yeah. We'll do Deathbed, Killer Pinata, and like Attack of the Killer Donuts or some shit. We'll figure it
The
Killer-
Lift.
Sofa donuts.
out.
The Lift is my choice.
I've had that on my watch list for so long.
It's
Had
so
what?
stupid.
The Lift. I don't know.
Oh.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All
All right, coming at you.
So
This is I feel like this is going to be another month of like crap, and then we're doing Stephen King month, which we know is going to be crap. So this is a rough start.
of course we're gonna do Stephen King month, and everything's gonna leave streaming. So
I wasn't going to say anything to jinx it, but there's so much on there right now, and I was like, I know the moment that
it's all gonna move to stars in March, and none of us are gonna have
Which-
stars.
No, like who does though, for real?
Old people.
Yeah. So
If you want to support our terrible ideas of these,
they're only getting worse.
yeah.
Yep.
You can. We should do a month where like Kit and I will just pick all the movies on Letterboxd that like we'll just find movies that only have like under like 20 views.
No star ratings above 1 star.
Yeah. Follow us. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/IBSufferPodcast. I think the week this comes out, our bonus episode on sentient vehicles should be coming out. It's not something like that, or like if it's not this week, it's like the following week, something like that. Pretty soon after this comes out, so you can hear us talk about the hearse, Christine, and trucks, including
Big truck.
Yeah. Oh shit! I'm absolutely ending the episode with that now.
What'd you say?
Yes.
The
Big truck.
Yeah, the fucking worst new metal song of
Big
all time.
Truck.
Yeah. Cold
Oh,
Chamber was classic.
I literally been I
Oh.
literally been thinking like, what am I gonna do like for music for the bonus episode, and now I got it.
I've never listened to that song, but I just assume it's like when that dude ordered a Big Mac in the drive-thru and had some dude beatbox behind him and was like, Big Mac.
Oh no, it's honestly
Big
it's because I was like
Big
I
truck.
was way into Cold Chamber when that first album came out, and it's like I didn't get like super deep with like new metal too much, like, but like for whatever reason, Cold Chamber, that first album, like really like grabbed me, and I like it. That song is fucking extremely stupid.
It's
Like-
okay. I think there's a period where almost everyone almost got really sucked into new metal.
I mean, I'm all about it. Hard like showing up and like I'm about like new metal influence now, like popping up in certain things like hardcore bands, because like you could do a pretty sick breakdown with like a new metal riff. But like,
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I know you do, but you like, I don't know, like, because there was like, I was like old enough that like I was like a teenager as new metal was blowing up, so it's just kind of like that whole period of metal, it was kind of almost impossible to avoid. But I don't know, I'm like, I'm here for it. I also have a shirt idea that we need to do that I told Katie about. I gotta tell Kit after we stop recording.
Is it a big truck?
No, I'll tell you in a minute. You could buy our merch, like shirts and stuff, at storefrontier.com/IPSuffer. Leave us a rating and reviews on iTunes. Tell us your favorite new metal song.
Yes.
Follow Bodies. Duh.
Yeah, that's
well,
up there.
Hard to beat.
Bodies, but only the first like 30 seconds.
Only the whispering, just that for fucking 4 minutes.
I guarantee there's like one of those like 10-hour fucking YouTube videos that's just, it never gets to the scream.
Him counting 1, 2.
Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Listen to my other podcast, Ain't Kate Movie Club. There's an episode of Top Gun at Airheads, I don't know, out there sometime after this was released. Time's an illusion.
Yep.
True.
I hope.
So is money.
I hope you big butt trucks.
Wow. I don't.
Guerrilla Radio.
Big truck.